Ryan Castle here, the CEO of the Cape Cod and Island Association of Realtors Multiple Listing Service. I'm joined here this month with our president of the association for 2020, Greg Kiely. Greg, thanks for joining me.
Happy to be here.
Want to talk a little bit about some stuff that the board has been talking about at their meetings lately to kind of bring you into the boardroom and discuss it. The board at the last couple of meetings has talked a lot about fair housing. So let's set this up for why they're talking about fair housing and fair housing education. Late last year, article was released in Newsday, a publication on Long Island, detailing testers in the Long Island marketplace, real estate marketplace, to go to agents and test them on fair housing issues. Quite honestly, a lot of them failed. And they also proctored and visited fair housing education programs on Long Island, and the programs weren't really up to the quality that you would think of for a realtor association to take on. So it sparked a lot of interest from our board of directors to talk about fair housing in our marketplace, what our members know, and how we can do better for our members in educating how to resolve fair housing issues. So Greg, what has been your takeaway from the whole fair housing issue? And then we'll get into what our board's been talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I read the article and it came out right around November, what I took away as a leader of a brokerage and an agent is everyone thought they were trying to do the right thing when they gave their answers, and everyone thought they had gone through the training, and it turned out that people had attended trainings and the answers they were giving were what they thought they were supposed to say and what they were really doing. And this was over a 5-year period that these tests went on, and they have incredible documentation. And everyone learned that the training that we have isn't doing a good enough job. Not that anyone's trying to do bad or meaning to do bad, but we've just missed some opportunities in how to keep out of trouble and how to stay current in our fair housing training. And it's something that all of us, whether we acknowledge it or not or notice it or not, probably haven't been trained on recently enough. And a lot of the violations were when they talked to the agents, what they thought were in some ways well-intentioned, but still really bad mistakes.
Yeah, so I have 3 big takeaways from the article about how to make sure you're working better on fair housing and how we can implement it into our training. One is that it's not what you tell one client, it's what you tell all your clients. Yeah. And what one client deserves in the knowledge and insight that you give them as a realtor, all your clients deserve the same knowledge and insight.
Absolutely.
2 is consistency. You know, I think this is one of the biggest things we see in our industry is consistency. If you are going to require pre-qualification letters before you take buyers out, always do it. If you're going to always do certain things for buyers, always do it for buyers. That's one of the big things I saw as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, you might have someone who's coming to buy a $6 million house, and you might not think, oh, that person needs to be pre-qualified, or I need to go through all the steps that I would go through if someone's buying a $600,000 house. And where we learn the lesson from the Long Island example is those, again, that's what I mean when I say well-intentioned, those differences mean we're treating our clients differently. And anytime we treat our clients differently, we are in danger of violating fair housing laws.
Yeah, and 3rd is that it's not something that doesn't happen anymore. I think for too long we've looked at fair housing as, okay, it's usually more in the rental market nowadays, right? On disabilities or on children or other things like that. But no, it still is very, and what they did in the Long Island piece is really do a good job of showing you by video where fair housing is still an issue.
Yeah, and I mean, look, you can Google to get the full breakdown.
We'll have a link actually right in the show notes here.
But the videos that come across from the agents are, I think when you watch them, I think a lot of agents will recognize some of the things they say and not realize that we're all in danger of maybe falling into some of the same delicate situations. And so I think it's really important that we all first watch at least a few of the videos and read a few of the stories, because it's something that, you know, when I look in the mirror and I say, uh-oh, you know, am I as aware of all of these things as I should be? It takes focus and attention on a more than once every few years basis to make sure we're not unintentionally making mistakes that lead us into trouble when we show properties.
Yeah, so the board has been taking a look at where are we providing fair housing training, what kind of fair housing training it is. So they're taking stock of the instructors we're using for fair housing, the classes we're using, how to implement it more into other classes we offer where it makes sense. The new agent orientation of becoming a realtor and what kind of fair housing we're offering there. They've gone the step to ask staff to assemble a plan that could potentially, the board is still debating whether to require fair housing education every 3 years like we do on the Code of Ethics. So those are some of the issues we're discussing. We're love your feedback on a lot of that, on how to make that better with us. The other thing I would say is the two things I see the most that we talk a lot about, and that actually between this article and then also another lawsuit going on, the two issues that the industry is facing, I still think the biggest thing I see agents roll their eyes kind of the most about when we talk about, because they feel like they know it, is antitrust and fair housing. And quite honestly, those two things, there's different ways to get you in trouble on those now than they've ever been before.
Yeah, and look, I always say, look, there are a lot of things out in the world that are going to be difficult to solve, but how can I stay current myself? How can I get the best training? You need to know that just as recently as a week ago, the National Association of Realtors leadership team met with Secretary Carson about a fair housing game plan that's going to be unveiled throughout the entire National Association of Realtors. So we'll have some information coming to us that way. But we have at our fingertips today the Commitment to Excellence program that NAR unveiled over a year ago now. And as part of that Commitment to Excellence, you'll cover your Code of Ethics requirements, you'll cover some of the other things that help us be better realtors, but they'll have fair housing questions and modules built into that program, just as they do realtor safety, just as they do prospecting, just as they do internet advertising and social media. So, you know, what can you do right now? Yeah, you can take the 2-hour continuing education class when you find it, but you could also, at your own pace, go onto the Commitment to Excellence site and start taking your Commitment to Excellence endorsement and make sure that you've had a kind of recent checkup on what's current, what's relevant today, and ways, as one of our training classes here at the association is titled, Ways to Stay Out of Trouble, because I think, as you said, there are ever more ways every day to unintentionally end up in a little bit of trouble, and we want to make sure that we have the resources for everybody to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, and you can find that out at c2ex.realtor,
Yep.
And that's a great resource to get started. You become certified, Commitment to Excellence certified through that. Several of our members have, and they're saying what a great program it is. So take a look at that.
Yeah, I mean, there are thousands of realtors who have already done it. There are probably 30 or 40,000 who have done it nationwide. A year ago, that was only about 250. So it's growing exponentially as we go. And I think for a lot of reasons, it's a great, kind of midway checkup in between your continuing education classes to make sure you're focused on the things that are most important.
All right, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next month.